Hi, I'm Janine Kitson, independent for Bradfield. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope this day makes us all think about how it's so important to love our planet, our democracy, and our national broadcaster. I am standing as a federal candidate because I want to ensure that these issues get the commitment that they so desperately need through strong federal legislation. I want to begin by talking about two of my upcoming events. My first one will be a volunteers webinar on Tuesday, the 1st of March from 6 p.m. This webinar will focus on what we need to do to get ready for election day. My campaign is based on volunteers, not millionaires or corporations' money. So I need your help. As well, encourage your friends, your neighbours, and those who believe Bradfield can do better to join us. My second event will celebrate the 90th anniversary of the opening of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. This will take place at the Bradfield Memorial at the intersection of Park Avenue and Rosedale Road, Gordon, on Saturday, the 19th of March at 5 p.m. Dr. J.C.C. Bradfield was the chief engineer who supervised the design and construction of the Sydney Harbour Bridge, and whom the electorate of Bradfield is named after. He had a vision for the future, and this is something we all need to start aspiring to. Now, I'd like to briefly report on my three key campaign issues. Let's begin with the ABC. Thank you to those over 200 people who registered for my conversation with Kerry O'Brien on the 1st of February. Kerry, as one of Australia's most respected journalists, shared with us his insight into why the ABC is more important than ever for our democracy, and how the ABC must be at the forefront of our minds when the federal election is called. Incredibly, less than 1 week following Kerry O'Brien's thought-provoking conversation with us, the federal government announced the unfreezing of the ABC's indexation clause that removed $84 million from the ABC's budget in 2020. However, there is so much more to do. The long-standing defunding of the ABC, nearly $500 million, still needs to be restored. My thanks to the many Bradfield friends of the ABC who never gave up writing letters, making phone calls, and calling on the federal government to restore the funding to the ABC and to protect its independence. They continue the important legacy of Bradfield resident Walter Bass, who started the Friends of the ABC movement in 1976. Climate change. Climate change is unraveling fast. Each day, each week, each month, there is another climate disaster. Out of control bushfires in Western Australia, torrential rain in and around Townsville, flooding across South Australia, cutting off towns like Cooper Pedy, massive water-bombing rainstorms in Sydney that have led to thousands of fish dying in the Parramatta River due to low oxygen levels caused by these high-density storms. It is very clear from our lived experience that climate emergency is threatening us all and calling on us to take action to drastically decarbonize our economy. As many of you know, the Great Barrier Reef is of great interest to me. In December 2021, I held a webinar with one of its greatest authorities and champions, Professor Ove Ogelberg. Ove was very clear. The Great Barrier Reef is in serious danger unless we rapidly reduce our emissions. The government's recent $1 billion funding announcement for the Great Barrier Reef over 10 years is welcome, but it still does not address the #1 threat to this World Heritage Site. Without concerted climate action before 2030, the health of the reef will deteriorate. When elected, I will work to ensure legislation phases out fossil fuels so that future federal governments can no longer approve new coal and gas projects. I'm reading Saul Griffith's book, Electrify Everything, at the moment. Saul is an outstanding Australian who has been a former climate advisor to the American President Joe Biden, and he is very optimistic that with ingenuity, imagination, and commitment, Australia can lead the world in getting out of this climate mess. Australia is one of the best places to do this, with its abundant renewable resources of sunshine and wind, not to mention its incredibly high solar roof taker. With experts like Saul, I know Bradfield can do better and even become one of the world's first all-electric renewable electrics. Now, for my final key issue, integrity in politics. It is now clear that the federal Liberal National Party government have no commitment to implementing a federal integrity commission. We must not allow corruption to become part and parcel of winning elections and running governments. We must end the normalisation of pork barrelling through proper investigations that hold governments to account for misconduct. And this may include reinvestigating the $100 million sports fraud, the $660 million car park fraud, dubious allocations of some defence grants, the Leppington Triangle land, where the taxpayer paid $30 million for land that was only worth $3 million. Former Supreme Court Justice David Harbour believes the Liberal National Party's proposed Commonwealth Integrity Commission is fundamentally flawed and effectively protects parliamentarians against any allegations of corruption. I now ask you to do one thing to help me with my campaign. I have very limited resources. Most of my campaign is self-funded, with some wonderful and generous contributions from local residents who believe Bradfield can do better. If you could please display my flyer in the back of your car window, wow, that would be a great help. Thanks again, and best wishes, Janine Kitson, Independent for Bradfield. Authorised by Janine Kitson, Suite 1A, Level 2, 802 Pacific Highway, New South Wales, Gordon 2072.